Hey everyone, Mark Hespman here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. It is time for our post-Week 14 NFL Power Rankings edition. Listen, we'll get into it here, but it's really hard to do these power rankings right now. These teams, it seems like no one wants to be an elite team in the NFL right now, except for maybe the San Francisco 49ers. We'll get to them. As always, you can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, or X on Instagram at Mark Hespman, MarkHespen. Follow and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Just subscribe below at Mark Hespman here on YouTube. Or if you want, follow the sports show on the Mark KHMO on Facebook, and then tune in every Saturday morning to News Talk 1070 KHMO when we are live on the air doing the show Saturday mornings, 9:05 sharp. Let's jump into it. Week 14, post-Week 14 NFL Power Rankings. Coming number 10, I'm putting the Bengals back into the Power Rankings. I mean, Jake Browning, holy smokes. This kid is playing his you-know-what off. And what's really fun about this Jake Browning story is that the coaching staff has just basically said, we have nothing to lose. So bleep it. Just let the kid throw. And they have so many weapons on that Cincinnati offense. Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon, they're just feeding him the rock, and the defense is playing really good football. Cincinnati has just said basically, hey, we could have thrown in the towel, but why not? We have a really good team built around a great quarterback. The great quarterback's gone. Let's just throw the kid to the wolves and say, you know what? Air it all out there. I love what Cincinnati's doing. They're a really fun story right now. I'm going to put them at number 10. It's more of a nod to Zach Taylor. Like, hey, kudos to you, Zach Taylor, for having this team where it's at and playing the way it is. They deserve to be recognized on the power rankings at number 10. Browns at number 9. If you would have told me 4 months ago we'd have to seriously be watching Joe Flacco and talking about Joe Flacco as like the guy you don't want to face in the first round of the AFC playoffs, I'd have been like, what in God's name happened this year? But that's where we're at right now. The Browns absolutely are the team this morning that all of the division winners do not want to face in the first round of the AFC playoffs. That defense, Joe Flacco having nothing to lose, big game experience. His arm is still good. He looks fresh. Can Joe Flacco last a 16-game season? Absolutely not. But can Joe Flacco last a 7-8 game stretch for the end of the year into the playoffs? We'll see. So far, so good for the Browns and Joe Flacco. They're at number 9. Bills move up to number 8. What I love so much about the Bills right now is this was the week for them to completely fold and fall apart. You had your head coach giving a press conference midweek, a week ago right now, talking about his 9/11 hijacker comments. Like, yikes. If there was ever a week for the Bills to just completely implode and for everything to fall apart, it would have been on the road against Kansas City when your coach is having to talk about and apologize for his 9/11 hijacker comments. And yet they found a way to win. Now, I would argue a lot of that is because the Chiefs are a little bit of a mess right now. But I do think the Bills, their Cooks is running the ball well. Defense is stepping up. Von Miller's still playing right now. That's a whole storyline. And listen, Josh Allen is not going anywhere. You can just tell the dude gives it 110% every single game. What's their ceiling? I don't know. But if they make the playoffs, again, you're not going to want to mess with the Bills team and Josh Allen in the postseason, that's for sure. Number 7, the Dolphins. They're falling down the power rankings. Man, what an opportunity the Dolphins let slip through their fingers. They could have easily walked their way to the NFL 1 seed. Their schedule was wide open this last week and this week, and then having a couple tough games down the stretch. But now you look at the Dolphins and say, are they even going to win their division? They're like the Eagles of the AFC. They went from surefire number 1 seed to, gosh, I don't even know if they'll win their division right now. What I don't love about the Dolphins is everything you saw on Monday night. When Tyreek Hill is not 100%, this offense at home was completely inept. And there was a little bit of not great weather, and there I know they're a little bit they're beat up. But look what happened to the San Francisco 49ers when they were beat up in that system. The Dolphins and the Niners are very, very similar. When they're beat up and they're really talented playmakers are injured, they are not the same team at all because their quarterback just can't elevate them beyond that. Dolphins are worrying me. They're at 7. Lions at 6. Now, a lot of people are going to argue with me the Lions are too high. I will make the argument that the Bears are a terrible matchup for the Lions the Lions will still be fine. The Lions, absolutely, in my opinion, are the fourth best team in the NFC. The Lions would beat a lot of teams in the AFC. Right now, today, on a neutral field, I would take the Lions over the Eagles. Over the Dolphins, over the Bills, over the Browns, over the Bengals, over the Steelers, over the Colts, over the Packers, all of those teams, right? Over the Seahawks, over the Jags. The Lions' offensive line is fantastic. They can run the ball. The Lions' defense really worries me. But the Lions' offense can score. Now, Jared Goff, turnovers, I think they're just hitting that kind of rough patch. They were flying high. I think they've hit a little bit of a rough patch. I'm not panicking on the Lions yet. They got a big game to bounce back this week. Lions at 6. Eagles tumble all the way down to number 5 in the power rankings. For the Eagles, some people are putting them lower. I can't do that yet with Philadelphia just because the loss to Dallas was bad. But you can at least see what happened. Ugly turnovers, drop balls. It just looked like they have run out of gas. Can the Eagles find a way on Monday night against Seattle to kind of find that energy, dig deep, and as long as they catch a couple balls and they don't fumble it, they would have been right in that game with Dallas. So I'm not panicking on the Eagles yet, but certainly not a great showing for the Eagles, who I had number 1 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, now losing back-to-back 2 really big, important games against 2 really important NFC opponents, the Cowboys and the Niners. Cowboys, they jumped the Eagles. They're at 4. I can't move the Cowboys any higher, though, because their most impressive win is at home against the Eagles team coming off a really long stretch, and the Eagles shot themselves in the foot all game with multiple fumbles and drop balls. Dak is playing really, really great football. If I was going to give the MVP to a quarterback right now in the league, it would be Dak Prescott. Luckily, we don't have to give the MVP out yet. As people freak out about the MVP, we don't have to give it out yet. We can watch all the games and then give out the MVP award. But I think the Cowboys this week are going to be in trouble. I'm going to feel pretty confident saying I don't think the Cowboys are going to get much higher than 4. I think they're in for a really tough week in Buffalo this weekend. Chiefs at number 3. Listen, I know people are saying, how can you have the Chiefs this high? The Chiefs look ugly and the Chiefs offense is bad. And yeah, I think that's the biggest concern is the Chiefs, they're not scoring more than 20 points. I mean, this offense has gone anemic. Where is Patrick Mahomes? Where is the MVP? Put the cape on. Be Superman. Carry your team. It's not happening right now. That's to be concerned. But when you look around the AFC, what am I supposed to do? Mahomes' biggest competition right now, and the thing I'm supposed to be scared the most is he might have to go on the road against Miami. I just saw the Titans beat the Dolphins on the road. Or he has to go on the road against Baltimore. We've never seen Lamar make it deep in the playoffs, let alone in a big game at home in the playoffs. Listen, the Ravens should be ahead of the Chiefs right now. They've earned that. But if you're telling me that you seriously don't think the Chiefs can make their way to a Super Bowl this year right now, they have Mahomes, they have Reed, they have a great defense. They have Travis Kelce. This team can still make a Super Bowl run. Chiefs at 3. Ravens at 2. Yeah, Ravens have earned to be the top place in the AFC and the top spot here in the power rankings for an AFC team. I like the Ravens a lot. What I like so much about them this week was coming off a bye. It was easy. If you listen to the show on Saturday morning, I predicted it was my lock of the week or my upset of the week, Rams plus 7.5. That bet was so easy to make. Off the bye, they were a little sluggish. They're still trying to figure out life without Mark Andrews, even though the wide receiver core is better. And what happened, this Ravens team didn't quit, didn't give up. Lamar put the team on his back when he needed to, had a really great game late down the stretch. And they found a way to win a game at home against a really up-and-coming feisty Rams team. I like the Ravens right now. They are the favorites in the AFC. I think at home, AFC Championship game tomorrow. If it was tomorrow, Ravens hosting the Chiefs, I would take the Ravens. But I think the Ravens, obviously, there's a concern there about the identity of their offense without Mark Andrews. It still feels a little up in the air. And then number 1 team, the Niners. You don't have to say much else. It's the Niners. The Niners are freakishly good right now. And unfortunately for the Niners, the Super Bowl is not next weekend. Because if the Super Bowl is next weekend, there'd be no reason to ever bet against the Niners, no matter who they were playing. But there's a long season left. A lot can go wrong between now and then. We saw it in the AFC Championship game last year with Brock Purdy and the elbow injury. So luckily for the rest of the NFL, the Super Bowl is not tomorrow, because if it was, the Niners would absolutely win it. Finally, can I just point out This weekend, listen, Thursday Night Football is going to be really ugly. Easton Stick versus AOC is going to be a disaster. I'd watch paint dry versus that. But Saturday, 3 games. Vikings, Bengals, huge implications in that game. Steelers, Colts, huge implications in that game. Broncos, Lions, huge implications in that game. Saturday's slate is phenomenal. And then you look at Sunday, Bears, Browns, implications there. Bucks, Packers, implications there. Texans, Titans, implications there. Jets, Dolphins, huge game for the Dolphins. Chiefs, Patriots, huge game for the Chiefs to get back on track. Giants, Saints, huge implications there for Tommy DeVito going for 4 in a row. And for the Saints, trying to make sure they can keep up in the NFC South race. Falcons hosting at the Panthers. Again, trying to keep up in the NFC South race. Commanders at the Rams. Rams trying to keep that wild card spot. Niners at the Cardinals. Try not to get upset. They're holding on to the number 1 seed. Cowboys, Bills, huge implications there. Ravens, Jags, huge implications there. Eagles, Seahawks, huge implications there. I mean, you can really argue the Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Commanders, Falcons, Panthers are the only games that really very the implications are But everything else, I mean, what an incredible slate we have here for Week 15. I will just say this. You listen to all those matchups, these power rankings, they're going to change come Week 15 depending on who wins and how they win it. Follow me on all the socials at Mark Hespen. That's on YouTube. Subscribe at Mark Hespen. On Twitter, X, or Instagram at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen. Follow the sports show on the Mark K. Chimo on Facebook, and then tune in live and local every Saturday morning, News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Talk to you next week.